and Greg SToReR are musical siblings who have released their own music, Sara to great acclaim and at least 21 Golden Guitar Awards at last count. As SToReR, they have now released an eponymous album and they're about to undertake an extensive national tour. And they're both here to talk about it, although I failed to give Greg the pink shirt memo because Sara and I are both wearing pink. Hi, Greg. Hi, Sara.
G'day, Sophie.
G'day, Sophie. How you going?
Well, I'm going extremely well because I've just been wrapped up in this album and I kind of feel like I'm in this dream still with it, that I'm with you both on the land and in your lives. And it's just this glorious piece of work, and it really celebrates the full spectrum of life. And that includes death, because death and grief are referenced on the album. So this is a question for either one of you. Did you set out to create a particular experience when you made this album?
I don't know. So, yeah, I think we just, it's just what was going on in our lives at the time, and we're very much right, you know, with our hearts on our sleeves and what's going on around us, and which makes it easy to write about. You know, it's coming from the heart and how you're actually feeling. So I think that's just how the songs, yeah, sort of got going, and that's how they're presented on the album. So we didn't sort of, say let's write an album about this or that or the other. Just how we wrote the songs, and that's how it is. Yeah.
So Sara, did you write these songs together, or was there a bit of like you had a dominant idea that Greg contributed a bit to, and that sort of rhythm?
Yeah, a bit of that. Greg had some written, I had some. We did some co-writes, and yeah, sometimes we just jump on it, do a little verse on you know, each other's songs to sort of turn it into a co-write as such. But yeah, there's a real mix, and I like that the album, you know, has a lot of different varieties of that. So there's some are Greg's, some are mine, and some co-writes. It's a nice blend, and I think it really worked really lovely through the album.
Did you have many more songs and then you had to edit your selection?
Yeah, we did. We could probably record another album, and that was the tricky part. Was you know, they say, you know, songs are like your babies, and to leave them off, you feel like you're leaving your children behind. But yeah, we've got them there that we'll, you know, we can come back hopefully and record these songs so they don't get forgotten about, and future album, possibly, maybe. Yeah.
Greg, were there any songs left off about which you perhaps had a small tantrum, a sibling argument, anything like that?
Tell the truth, Greg.
No, it was really, yeah, when we first, James said, oh, well, it's got to be 12-track album or 10-track album. We're going, oh no, really? We have to take songs off? But you know, I think the songs we left off are took a long while. These are the things, like I'm not, you know, big into making records, and that is probably the second one I've had major involvement in, and you just forget about all that stuff that you got to do, you know. And this is just one of those things, that how the songs are numbered on the album, how you want the album to flow, and you know, the few songs we left off, I think in the end that it was, you know, it was right, it was perfect. Yeah. So yeah, no tantrum.
Well, that's good. I think it's probably part of the beauty of working with siblings is that there is that bedrock of understanding when if you're close to each other, which you obviously are because you've made music together. I mean, I have a brother, and you know, we could have a bit of a tiff about things, but fundamentally we're always going to love each other and be in each other's lives. So with this kind of creative project, I imagine you can have the push and pull and not get too upset.
Yeah. You know, I think just with the selection of songs, you know, without saying, oh, this one didn't make it and that one didn't make it, here's our list, what do you reckon? And you'd go, oh, well, one of mine there that I thought maybe could have, didn't. And I'm sure Greg thought the same, but it's sort of like it's saying, hey, you know, maybe we've made the decision. So we know, I think just as being siblings, we knew then that they were the 12 tracks, and we didn't have to come back and say, hey, why didn't you like this? It's just sort of said and done and move on with it, because sometimes it can take someone else to say, look, it's a good song, but maybe it's just not good enough for the album. So let's just leave it for another time. Whether if it wasn't Greg and it was another artist, you might have, there may have been tantrums. So you just don't know. But Greg and I are pretty good at working out. Dave doesn't know I'm doing an interview. I'm just going to quickly run away because you're going to hear about cows very soon. Sorry. Yeah, and I think that's the good thing about siblings. We didn't have to say to each other, why didn't that make it? We just knew, righto, this is the top 12.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure Sara had a few tanties just in private about what was going on, but he does that.
It's her prerogative.
A couple of broken toes there, a couple of times, yeah.
I won't go song by song, although I was very tempted to go song by song, but it would be quite a long interview then. But I would like to ask about some songs in particular. Now, Pedal, Push and Pedal, Greg's, is a song that you sing lead vocal on, and it does suggest that you like to ride a bike because you certainly create the experience of riding through the countryside. Do you or do you not like to ride bikes?
I love to ride pushies. I've got an old mountain bike here. It's nothing flash, but I'm always threatening to ride it. It seems like a very good idea. I'm not a real stickler for exercise, as you can see. But yeah, geez, it's so good to just get on it and treadly up the road and back and you just I always say to myself, Greg, you got to do this more often. You just feel better after you get off, and it's great. And so that song, we did some work over in the Bylong Valley, and just driving through there just struck me the beauty of the place, and you got the hills and the national parks. I thought, God, how good would it be just to get on a bike and treadly around all day here, take in the sights, just take in nature, and just relax, and so I'm always threatening to do that, but as you know, work and you're always flat out with kids at school and all that sort of thing. So but one of these days I will get on the bike and go through a national park and just take it all in and take my time and go slow.
There's a really beautiful line in it. I'm alive with every breath I take. And when I first heard it and then put it into the context of the album, I thought this really actually sums up the whole album because the album is so alive and present. And there's such a vivid sense of life in the whole album, I think. So is there, Sara, I think this is a question for you now, is there a song or a line that resonates with you? Because that line is Greg's. So is there a song or a line that resonates for you on the rest of the album?
Oh yeah, there's quite a few, but one in particular that stands out to me is Greg's song Dust Kids that he wrote a little while back now when during their horrid drought there was all these babies being born, and Greg was thinking about how much dust these little kids can take in their lungs, and then towards the end he talks about Bill, which is my boy, going for a ride with Uncle Ben on the bike to go and check the bulls. And it gets me every time I hear that line because not only is Greg singing about community and kids and people getting through the drought, just about family too and love and how strong it is, and just being so grateful that my little boys are just fascinated with their uncles and and that way of living. So that's the one that gets me. Yeah, that's one of my favorites as well. It's such a great song. And Greg, I do like the cleverness, the subtle cleverness actually of setting it up of how these kids have never seen a drop of rain, and then the last line is, now we just need to have some mud kids. And so the implication, of course, being it hasn't rained for a really long time, but you're showing us that rather than really telling us directly. So, that's a comment more than a question. It's just such a great song.
Oh, thanks, Dave. It's great feedback. I much appreciate that. And, our songs, Sara and my songs are all about what's happening on the land. You know, if it's a drought, it's drought songs. It's a flood, it's flood songs. And yeah, it got really wet. We had mud kids for a while there, and yeah, so yeah, what's coming next? Who knows?
Who does? Hopefully, a nice balance so that neither the
Absolutely.
dust nor the mud sticks to the kids.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And now the song Parachute is about being a parachute for someone else who's falling, as you're jumping off a mountain or whatever, falling off a mountain. Sara, are you and Greg that for each other?
Yeah, I guess I would. I would be a parachute, mate, if you fell off the mountain. Want to be a pretty
You need a Mark E,
solid.
I reckon.
I'd say you
Mark
want
E
to be a
with
pretty
ropes on it.
solid parachute. Might, yeah, heavy duty. But it's a ripper song, and it's everyone, you hope, has got that one mate that you can rely on that'd be there for anything. You know, be there and drop of a hat. And so I love that song. We're thinking of starting the show with that. Just about why Greg and I are, you know, on the road together, and we finally got to do this album as SToReR. So we thought it's a really cool way to start the show.
Yeah, it's a terrific song. There are so many terrific songs. As I said, I could go song by song. Going to keep it to just a handful of them. Greg, who is the Machinery Man?
Machinery Man's just a bunch of people that I've run into all my life, really. Some old blokes who used to come out and do mechanical work for us on the farm, fixing old tractors and motors and stuff. And the knowledge these people have got in their head is just incredible. And my dad was the same. Like, you know, he could tell you the firing order of a T model Ford, you know, as he had as a kid. That was his first car, and all this stuff, all this knowledge, you know. So it's about that. And also it's about those kids that are not suited for school, you know. That my wife's a teacher, and she's talking about these kids all the time, you know. They're not school types, and but they can go down to the tip and you know, get some old timber and knock up a table for their mum or something like that, you know, for Mother's Day. Or you know, it's just about those sorts of people. And it's a bit of a hats off to those mechanics and people that work with their hands, basically.
Yeah, it's great. It's very detailed and great. And I love the line about how the punishment for this machinery man when he's a kid is to not mow the lawn.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I know a kid like that. That's Tommy Mason at Ballarat. That was his punishment. He wasn't allowed to mow the lawn if he was in trouble.
Right. Now, Sara, Drift Away and Dream Again are the two songs on the album that are about death and life after death in a way, because I think in Dream Again, you're keeping alive a girl who has died. In between them, we have The Tank and Machinery Man, which are both songs that are very much about working with what's in front of you and appreciating the moment. I'm really interested in the decisions you two made together about the order of songs, because as those songs come through, it's like, yes, we have these not wistful songs about death, I guess, but really real songs. And then we're very much back in the present. So obviously there was a discussion about how to order everything.
This album was the biggest challenge in getting the track order for me, the biggest challenge I've ever had throughout all of my albums. It took hours. I think sometimes songs naturally they've got their place somewhere along the list, and you can often see that as when you're in this recording process, you're hearing a song, you go, oh, that's going to sit around here. But all these songs I think could have fitted anywhere on the set list, so it was difficult. There's also the challenge of you've got to work on your keys, so you can't have too many in the same key. Then you've got tempos, so you can't have slow songs, you know, bunched together. You've really got to take people on a lovely little journey, and I guess move them in and out of emotions, because, you know, your up-tempo songs are a lot more, you know, you're happy and it brings you up, and then you just need to have a bit of downtime, and that's when you pop in your little track that makes you think about a few things. And then you can go back to, all right, you don't have to think too hard on this next song, and let's have some fun again. It's very important, you know, to do that. So, but it was hard work. We got there in the end, didn't we, Greg? I reckon there was a new set, a new track order every day going, no, let's swap this. But I think we got there in the end.
I don't think I was much of a help, but really with that sort of stuff. I mean, James Gillard is just unbelievable at you know, all the finer details that, you know, I was oblivious to. James is just right onto it. And yeah, love you, James. Thanks for your work, mate. Yeah.
I mean, given that the two of you would have had your pick of producers to work with, how did you end up choosing James?
Well, we've been working with James. He's been playing bass guitar and acoustic guitar on since I met him, day dot, going back to Chasing Buffalo days. He played bass on my first album, and then he's pretty much been a significant band member for me as far as back in 2000. He one day did a little EP with his wife, Shanley Dell, 4 or 5 songs. And I thought they were just fantastic. And Greg did too. Bit quirky, bit different, new, fresh sound. And, you know, after about 3 albums, I'm ready for a change, not because I'm over the production or over my producer. It's just, I think it's nice for people just to get hit with a new sound. And we asked James. We thought maybe it's a perfect fit. And it is different, and it's fresh. And, yeah, we love his work, and we're really happy. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lovely clean sound through the whole album, like clean on the instruments, clean on the voice. So it really does give the listener space, I think, to put themselves into the song, if that makes sense.
Very important.
Absolutely.
To be able to hear a vocal and hear the story. So he's done a fab job there. You can, you know, if you go back to Matt Fell, he loves his layers and his beats are always very quirky and they catch out all the time, and it's a different sound again. I loved that time with Matt Fell, but it is nice to come back and you know, work with someone else, and you hear. It's just when you're in the studio and you hear those songs coming to life, and you see the love that a producer, or you watch them work and you see the love and the way their minds ticking, and then they're working with the musicians. It's really wonderful. And it's so good when you don't have to say anything, because they're on track. They're doing the right thing. They know the sounds you want to hear. And so you just sit there and enjoy. Yeah.
Now, Greg, your daughter's Bonnie. Oh, sorry, Greg, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
I was just going to add there. Sorry, so yeah, just James's passion. If you've ever watched James perform, you know, I love watching James perform, playing bass for you know, for whoever played for everybody over the years. And a lot of times you're just watching James playing bass. He's such a dynamic performer, and I can tell you in the, you know, producing and that, he's the same, and done a lot of like musical bridges on songs that we hadn't thought of, you know, Whitestone, you know, James's input there, just, and you get to listen to it, you know, for the first time in the studio going, oh, right, yeah, okay, wow. So, yeah, we love the man.
Well, he has done a fabulous job. And Greg, your daughters Bonnie and Pip also appear on the album, and there's one of them, I'm not sure which, who sings on When We Were Young. Will they be going on tour with you both when this tour starts?
Yeah, Pip's going to jump on in, I think it's the July dates. I think just the girls have got a shop in town, and they're flat out. They've been going hammer and tong at that for about a year now, sort of coffee shop, and they sell clothes and stuff. And so they're flat out with that. They're finding it hard to get away, but they're definitely going to jump on just a couple of little shows here and there. It'll be sort of advertised that they're going to play, and they'll be definitely at the Martha Guy show that's coming up, which is just our little home hall down the road here. And so, yeah, but I can't wait for them to, well, for Pip to sing that at shows, that song of hers, and it's going to be great.
Yeah. So the tour is starting very soon and in February, and it's going through to July when it ends in Catherine at the Outback Experience, Tom Curtin's Outback Experience. Logistically, because the two of you are in different parts of the country, I imagine it's taken a lot of planning. Sara, this is a question for you.
Yeah, it takes a bit of work, just working out, do I come back to Darwin? Do I stay around, hang out with Greg for a little while? Logistics, Darwin's a pain in the bum, really. But you just have to manage it the best you can. And but you know, we're just trying to keep our touring bunched. So we just do a little bit in a short time, come back, have a break, and then go back out and do it again. We do that about 3 times. So that's all we can manage so far. And we hopefully will get some new dates put up too. I mean, because there's a lot of places we haven't, that didn't make it on the list. So we're working on that, and hopefully we can get over to a few other places like WA and South Australia and Tassie. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Woohoo.
Where are you hoping to go, Greg?
Oh, WA, that'd be fantastic. All those little, down at Margaret River and all that. Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah.
I often think that's probably the hardest stage, just because it's so, that coastline is so big, and if you were to try to get to a few different places in WA, it's either very, very long road trips or quite a lot of short flights.
Yeah, and it's expensive flights flying around. It gets a bit of a pricey thing, and it's still something that as musicians we have to be very aware of, keeping your costs down. That's why we really rely on people turning up to the shows and buying a ticket. Without our fans, you know, we just can't do this. So we love you who has bought a ticket to our show. We thank you for supporting Australian country music.
Well, the album is really wonderful. As I said, I'm still wrapped up in this whole dream of it, and I think I will be for a really long time. And no doubt when people come to the show, they'll have that same experience. The two of you have been playing together for quite a while now. For those who don't know, Greg has played with Sara over the years. Greg, I'm not sure if Sara's guest starred in your shows when you've played them, but I imagine she has. So there's obviously a lovely live relationship that the two of you can bring to the stage.
Oh, yeah. I just love playing with my little sister, and she's so natural on stage and calms you down. And you usually come off stage going, wow, that was really good and great fun. So we can't wait to play for people and just share these new stories, and because that's what we are, with storytellers. And hope to see you there, folks. And thanks, Soph, for your time.
No, an absolute pleasure. I will post the dates, and people can go to your website to find them, and they should absolutely get along and discover this wonderful album. So thank you both for your time.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you.